Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 14, text number 8. Say what? I get confused. So this is the three modes of material nature. Tamas ajñāna-jaṁ viddhi, mohanam sarva-dehinām, pramādālasya-nidrābhis, nibadhnāti Bharata. Tama, the mode of ignorance. 2, but. Ajñāna-jam, produced of ignorance. Viddhi, no. Mohanam, the delusion. Sarva-dehinām, of all embodied beings. Pramāda, with madness. Ālasya, indolence. Nidrābhiḥ, and sleep. Tat, that. Nibadhnāti, binds. Bharata, O son of Bharata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhayacharana Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Responsively, O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In this verse, the specific application of the word "to" is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what. But the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone, under the spell of the mode of ignorance, becomes mad. And a madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature. Vastu yatam ya jnana varaktam viparya jnana janakam tamaḥ. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather has died, and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die. So death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they are invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They're not even active like the man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance. Om ajñāna-timirandasya gyananjana-shalakaya chakshurun militam jena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistang Stapitang Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Translation again. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness born of ignorance is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode of are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. So we're hearing from Lord Krishna personally. How fortunate can someone be? Because most, if not everyone in this world, is lost as to what is the purpose and goal in life, or how the different modes of nature are affecting them. We heard in the last few previous verses, a person in the mode of goodness might think, life is good, I'm educated, nice clothes, because they're a little bit materially smarter. They know how to make money, how to secure nice apartment, nice vehicle, nice wife, nice husband, nice children, nice family life. What is the problem? Sun is shining, it's a beautiful day, birds are chirping, the water is looking very beautiful. We're all very happy in this world. But this is the dilemma, that people are in ignorance and they have no clear understanding about the purpose or goal of life. I was speaking with Shruta Kirti Prabhu, and I was telling him that these translations and purports are just so powerful and so dynamic. Prabhupada would read the translation of the Acharyas, and he didn't have a computer to check what he's saying, how he's saying. Just in meditation, he would speak such deep philosophical analysis of the absolute truth. What is the mode of goodness, the mode of passion? We've seen in the earlier chapter describing what is knowledge, tolerance, peacefulness, austerity, truthfulness. So many things were explained. And then there's an explanation of each of those qualities in depth. So this is our good fortune. That it's not that Srila Prabhupada would write down the translation, or no, I'll change this word, I'll change that. He is spontaneously speaking and taking great pleasure in reading his own books. Especially Janmashtami is coming, and there are many remembrances from the devotees with Prabhupada during Janmashtami, how they would read Krishna book all day long. And they didn't finish the whole Krishna book, but they read a lot of it. And it was not that everyone's getting tired and bored, another story, another demon getting killed. But the way the Lord's pastimes are, they're very attractive. They're all attractive. So until we have an opportunity to meet a bona fide spiritual master, which by Krishna's grace, Lord Chaitanya's grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's grace, Srila Prabhupada, being inspired by his spiritual master, by the mood of compassion and love for all conditioned souls who are suffering in ignorance in this material world. And because of ignorance, one degrades himself. Everyone in the jailhouse is considered a lawbreaker. You know, maybe some of them are not evaluated properly, but mostly everyone in the prison house is considered a criminal or someone who's broken the laws of the state. So, if we're in this material world, are we in the material world? we're all criminals, in the sense that we've misused our independence. Krishna is so kind, says that there's no record in history when we were created. Krishna always exists. He's existed in the past. We've existed in the past. Krishna's existing right now. He's in our heart. He's in the book. He's in the table. He's all pervasive. We heard class this morning. Just like the sunshine may be situated in one place, but its sun rays go throughout the whole universe. Or a king in his palace, he may be in his kingly quarters, but the whole palace belongs to him. It's under his control. So parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate. Krishna, he's manifesting the Mahat Tattva. He's expanding himself. He lies in the causal ocean, producing unlimited universes, entering into each universe. And then not only that, but then he creates Lord Brahma in the entire manifestation. All the modes of nature, earth, water, fire, air, ether, then mind, intelligence, false ego, the different senses, the different modes, the different varieties, 8,400,000 species. Why? Why so many varieties of species? Even human species. Out of all the, I think there's 400,000 different human species. Those who are uncivilized, aborigine, there's demigods, there's hellish bodies, and we're in the middle planetary systems. Somehow we find ourselves here on planet Earth, fortunate enough that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came because the Lord is Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauda-tvashe Namaham. The father is naturally concerned about the children. Any father. You can see even the animals, the monkeys. Prabhupada tells a story. I think he was in Kanpur. One little baby monkey slipped through the window bars, and the mother monkey went completely crazy. She was screaming and jumping up and down, back and forth. And then Prabhupada helped to push the little baby monkey out, and the mother grabbed the monkey and kept it to his chest. So you could just imagine Krishna, the love he has for every living entity. He has that capacity. You may think how he can give love to 16,000 queens. He can give love to 16 million queens, 16 trillion queens. Oh, how he has so many goddesses of fortune serving him. Hundreds of thousands. Billions of goddesses. He's not attached to any of that. But at the same time, he is controlled by the mood of his devotees, the love of his devotees. But the materialists, they're inclined towards sense gratification and intoxication, and because of being misled or not guided as to what is the purpose and goal in life, or their teachers, their political leaders, so many so-called teachers and guides and scientists, they have no clue as to what is the purpose and goal in life. So naturally, people who don't have proper direction, good parenting, proper study of the scripture, then the tendency is to be influenced by sense gratification, because the senses, we're embodied, we're encaged. It's like we're entrapped within this body. And how do we get this body? Because of our desires. Karmana daivana trena. We have certain desires, and for many, many lifetimes, in different forms of life, whether demigod, human being, beast, bird, aquatic, worm, plant, so many varieties of life are there, and they all have their unique senses and experiences. But in the other subordinate species and categories, one cannot ask, who am I? Why am I forced to grow old? Why am I forced to die? People think it's natural, Mother Nature. Who's created this complex machinery? You see some kind of rockets, or it can only go, it has limited movements. But look at the fly, the mosquito. They're so expert, they can bug you, and you try to, and they're gone. They have so much mobility as far as scientifically making a body that can see, can hear, can fly, and can maneuver itself. And sometimes it's so tiny you can hardly see it in the page of the book. You see a little tiny little creature moving about. But it has the whole anatomy. It has its own little brain and own little living mechanism. And not only that, it can produce more of them little buggers. It can produce more flies, isn't it? Human beings, we can produce more human beings to create more wars and more havoc. But without proper guidance, then people are lost. So Bhagavad-Gita, we may think, oh, this is just preliminary. This is God speaking to Arjuna about how to get free from the entanglement of the illusion. I mean, the essence is so deep and so thick that from the very beginning, Arjuna doesn't want to fight, and he brings up the reasons why everyone's entrapped in this world. Why? Because I love my wife, I love my children, I love my countrymen, my teacher, I have to show respect to everybody, and if I do this, it'll be sinful. People don't know what is right and wrong. But when Krishna explained, listen, you're speaking like a learned man, but nobody speaks this way who's seen the truth. That this body is a temporary manifestation made of material elements. And this body is fallible. It comes out of the earth, stays for some time. Mother Nature molds it under Krishna's arrangement, gives you the right kind of head, body, and everything to try to function according to your subtle material desires. The mind, the senses are pulling, isn't it? The senses want gratification, so the mind is planning. The intelligence is like the orchestrator, explaining how to go about and get that end result of sense gratification. But the contaminated mind, the contaminated intelligence leads the mind and senses towards a hellish condition. And everything is based upon association. Mothers are very careful for their children. Don't associate with these people. They're bad people. Don't hang out with gangs. Watch out for this class of people, because if they see you looking at their girl, they'll cut your thing off and they'll kill you. And there's so many people in this world that are attracted by other people of the same nature. Businessmen, criminals, they associate with criminals. And those who are seeking godly consciousness, those who are actually seeking to put an end to the suffering and the entrapment in this world, for those there is a society made. There's spiritual circles. Even the many mode of goodness yoga groups are there. They're naturally attracted to yoga, pranayama, and doing all the things, going out in nature, hiking in the mountains, do the things in the mode of goodness. And they think that, yes, this is now I've achieved the higher platform. In one sense, Prabhupada calls it first-class prisoner, second-class prisoner, third-class prisoner. They're all prisoners. Even when Gandhi was put into jail because of his nonviolent resistance, maybe he was given a little facility, but still you're in jail. So you may be a Rockefeller, a Ford, a Birla, you could be a very, very powerful person, but I tell you, all these people are suffering even more so. I have a personal experience with Ambarish Prabhu. We worked together in Florida. He told me that people in this very, very rich circle, they're all alcoholics, they're all miserable, very disturbed people. So the things that everyone is striving for, wealth, popularity, that may I be powerful, strong, very strong man, and or very powerful, respected by so many, all that is just a temporary flash, because we don't know where we're going. Depending on our activities, we can generally, living in this world, especially in Kali Yuga, we're inclined towards intoxication, we're inclined towards a sex life, we're inclined towards beastly meat eating, gambling. We're gambling every day with our lives. So very clearly Srila Prabhupada's trying to awaken that enthusiasm, that drive for spiritual life. Unless we awaken a higher taste, unless we have that feeling that, I've got very little time left. So I know there's so many things to do in a day, but I have to prioritize. I should systematically find time, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Shravan, hearing, okay. What am I doing for hearing? Am I daily Nityang Bhagavata Seva? Am I really hearing the Bhagavatam in a systematic way? Because it's scientifically structured by Krishna and given by the Acharyas and custom made by Srila Prabhupada. Not his speculation, but by the authority of the Supreme Lord to give us guidance and clear understanding so that we can have confirmed and shraddha, faith. Our faith is strengthened. Why is our faith strengthened? Not only because we're looking for some mystical yogi or we're bewildered by some esoteric Indian, very ancient culture. We have sound, philosophical, logical texts spoken by the Supreme Lord, prayers spoken by Lord Brahma, by Lord Shiva, by Prithu Maharaj, so many incarnations, and the Lord conversing with the 4 Kumaras, conversing with the Prachetas, Daksha. So these are not just stories. These are actual events that take place laden with lessons. That means that by hearing about the Lord's pastimes in Bhagavatam, about the devotees related to the Lord and their pastimes, it helps us in many, many different entrapments that we are not seeing. Like I'm just reading the Puranjana story. So Narada Muni, feeling great compassion, as he is throughout the whole Bhagavatam, saw King Prachinabarishat, great emperor. He had many, many sons, Prachetas, and he sent them off to meditate. So they went to meditate, and they met Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva gave them a beautiful prayer, glorifying the Lord. So then they could perform underwater in a very pristine, beautiful lake, almost like an ocean. For 10,000 years they meditated on the prayer that Lord Shiva gave to Lord Vishnu. So you can see their mind was absorbed in the Supreme Lord. You think 10,000 years is a long time, but they're not like bored or thinking of other things. Because of their meditation on the Lord, it's like a flash, so to speak, the 10,000 years can go by. Even it's described that when Krishna was in rasa dance, we say one night, but actually it was a whole night of Brahma And how you can even imagine the duration of that, but it felt like a moment for the gopis. They felt separation almost immediately. So we have the tools, and the tools are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Now, depending on our situation, like if I think about it, when I came 46 years ago, I was brahmachari for 9 years and did my sankirtan, did management, but it was very wonderful life. So I got involved in management, got married, have 2 boys, but because I had 2 sons, my older son wanted to come to Vrindavan for school, so we moved to Vrindavan from America. I thought, well, that's a benediction, although maybe we think, well, getting married, you should stay brahmachari is best, but not everyone will stay brahmachari, and most people will get married, because ultimately we have that desire for relationship and children and whatnot. But this whole varnashram system is scientific by Krishna. Brahmachari, grihastha, then vanaprastha. It becomes difficult because the grandchildren are so darn cute. And you think that, well, I can't give up my attachment to my family. Why are they asking such things? How I can give up attachment to my family? But Mother Kunti was asking Krishna, detach me from my family, from my husband's family. Let me just be absorbed in your lotus feet. You may think, oh, Krishna is a little bit selfish. He won't share our love with others. But if you put that water on the root of the tree, all the branches, leaves, fruits, and flowers are automatically nourished. You put that prasadam, nourishing prasad in the stomach, all the limbs of the body are nourished. So you worship Krishna by chanting his holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's not just a chant, it's a prayer. My dear Lord, somehow I have fallen into this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of suffering and engage me as one of the servants at your lotus feet. And it's not just ritualistic. Krishna is a person, although we may not see him with our mundane eyes. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. That by purifying the eyes, purifying the mind, purifying the heart by the hearing about Krishna's pastimes, by the chanting of his glories, then the attraction increases for Krishna consciousness. And then we lose our taste for mundane association. We have no interest to do some social gatherings. For the mundane social gatherings. We love Krishna conscious social gatherings because we can chant and dance and take prasad, see the deities, and have loving exchanges with our God brothers and God sisters, because ultimately this is the real family, the spiritual family. Whereas everyone's looking for family, community, love, tranquility, but it doesn't exist in the material world, because the material world is a place of suffering. It's a place of repeated birth and death. So how can one be happy if he has no faith in the Lord, or if he doesn't recognize or even question what is the source of this manifestation, who's keeping the planets rotating in space, how these huge massive bodies are just floating in outer space, and how these different life forms are existing. In this world, there's life in the water, there's life in the air, there's life in the land, all sorts of life. And not all 8,400,000 species are here. They're planted throughout the whole universe. So by understanding how magnanimous, omnipotent, how great God is, how beautiful he is, how renounced he is, and how much love he has for all of us, then it's an attractive feature. That's an attractive feature. That let me make an arrangement in my life so that I can make more time for my hearing, my chanting. And we think sometimes people are angry or complain, you're not giving me I need devotional service. But devotional service, by chanting your rounds, you're performing devotional service. By sitting in this Bhagavad-Gita class, you're performing devotional service. By seeing the deity and offering obeisances to the Vaishnavas, you're performing devotional service. It's just sitting and hearing the holy name, hearing the pastimes, seeing the deities, rendering some service, thinking of Krishna. This is all devotional service. And devotional service is very rare. Because most people have a mind and an attitude that it's all fictitious. Who knows? Nobody knows God. Because they don't know, they feel, have you seen God? Tell me, have you? And sometimes they give some very foolish and shallow arguments. And even the scientists may say that, through research and technology, by chance. How can something like this happen by chance? Just the very complexity of the living being. By chance, I have so many fingers. I can hear, I can see, I can smell, I can touch, I can taste. That the sun is rotating, the sunshine is there, the vegetative growth, the air. Everything is just so scientific and systematic and well organized. If you came to the temple and you saw the place is complete shambles, there's garbage everywhere, you think there's no management. But if you see it's nice and clean and things are functioning, you think there's some management. So there's some universal management. That's Krishna. But when you're in the mode of ignorance, when you're in the mode of passion, even in the mode of goodness, Arjuna was told by Krishna, rise above these modes of nature, nirguna, that you come to the transcendental platform, brahmabhuta prasanatmana shauchati na kankshati, samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktin labhate param. There's no lamentation, no hankering, because you become satisfied. Parang drishtva nivartate. There's a higher taste, there's a higher pleasure. We're never going to give up material life unless we have a higher pleasure. And this is the whole idea of jnana vairagya. Lord Chaitanya, he introduced a simple method of chanting and dancing and humbly glorifying the Lord. And when challenged, he philosophically defeated all the greatest philosophers, all the greatest sannyasis and yogis. So it's not that we're looking for sentimental blind followers. We want to become really intelligent by reading Bhagavad-Gita, by hearing Bhagavad-Gita, by living Bhagavad-Gita, by hearing Bhagavatam, by staying in the association of devotees. Srila Prabhupada said, if you think you're making any advancement outside the association of devotees, you're living in hallucination. Because the mind is very powerful. Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya daratyaya mamevaye prapajante mayame tang tarantite. This divine energy of mine is Krishna's divine energy. Krishna is the creator of the material world, but it's very difficult to overcome. Once you become embedded, trapped, it's like, quicksand. The more you move, the faster you sink, and then you're gone, you're finished. So this material world is like that. You may think, well, why Krishna create such a place? Because we wanted that. There's all kinds of unlimited desires stored in the mind, the senses, and until we can do a real heavy-duty cleansing process of the heart, Cheto darpanam arjanam bhava mahadevagni nirvapanam shrekairava chandrika vitaranam vijavadhu jivanam. This is the Lord Chaitanya's process. The Sankirtan chanting process is the method for this age. And in order to fulfill the human form of life, we have to perform yagya, some sacrifice. When parents have children, they dedicate their life. They give everything they can to their children, good education, protection, all kinds of necessities they provide. And they expect that the children will reciprocate, and they'll give some reciprocation. So Lord Chaitanya is ordering all of us that now I'm calling you, you're hearing this message of Godhead, you give it to others. Because by the process of wanting to spread this message of Krishna consciousness, you get it even more. it becomes more strongly embedded within you. The more we're speaking about Krishna, we're also hearing Krishna. And the more we're determined to help others, this is a sign that we're actually developing godly qualities. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavat yakinchana savara gunais tatra samasate sura. That devotees, by the process of devotional service, develop or awaken all the godly qualities. But those who don't have devotional service, who don't hear the glories of the Supreme Lord, who don't engage their senses in going to the temple, seeing the deity, hearing the holy name, tasting the prasad, then they're simply digging their way to the hellish existence, a longer term of entrapment. When you come before the parole board, they want to know that you've been hearing and chanting before they release you from the criminal activities that the prisoners have in the prison house. Someone may have a long sentence, but if one has good behavior, he'll go before the parole board. That means they evaluate that, yes, this person has developed good, honest qualities, we can release him. So just like the Ajamil on his deathbed called out Narayan, the name of the Lord. He may have not had the Lord in mind specifically, he had his son in mind, but the name is very powerful. And so, even though the Vishnu Dutas stopped the Yamadutas were determined to take this Ajamil. So this gave an opportunity for Ajamil to recollect in his life, my God, I had a good Brahmana upbringing from the beginning, then I've wasted my whole life, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, in pursuit of mundane education, in family life and encumbrances of the materialistic association. I've wasted my life. So people are wasting their lives who don't take up this process. And like I said, not everyone has that good fortune or ability to recognize the emergency or the dire need. The dire need. That means that someone's on the edge of a cliff and you're telling them, don't take another step, but they're not listening. They're ready to go over the edge. So everyone is on a cliff. Everyone is going to fall back into this cycle of birth and death. This kind of opportunity doesn't come often. It's very, very rare. Even just, a few years this way or that way, imagine all those poor souls in the 50s and 40s who didn't have a chance to hear from Prabhupada. Where did they all go? Back in the recycled, in the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam, again, birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. We have to believe. Bhagavad-Gita makes total sense. It's accepted by the great acharyas throughout history. Bhagavatam, incredible literature, such foresight. As we said, Srila Prabhupada on a little dictaphone, late at night, traveling all around the world, and just giving such powerful, transparent purports, which are like mind-blowing. And I said, he doesn't review it or see it on a computer or anything. He's just speaking it from the heart. So within our very lifetime, we have this experience. Prabhupada's here. He's with us. Many devotees, had the opportunity to serve. All of us have the opportunity to serve Prabhupada. How do we serve Prabhupada? By reading his books, by hearing his lectures, by carrying out his message of Godhead. His message is that we have to become anxious for Krishna. When you're in anxiety about something, you have to do it. We need to have some utsahan nishchaya. There's some anxiety that I'm not utilizing my time fully, and I'm not using my full enthusiasm for this process. Just like Bhishma was criticized by Duryodhana, he said, oh, we're your nephews, but you have special attraction to your Pandava nephews. So you're not fighting that hard. You're not really, because the Battle of Kurukshetra, Bhishma was considered the most powerful. So Bhishma, he took that and he said, yes, I will kill them this time. I forgot where I was going with that one. But somehow or other, that determination, that strong determination that I will take this Krishna consciousness more seriously. Whatever shortcomings I do have, let me work on them and stay in the association of devotees and pray that even though I am weak and I don't have the strength to control the mind and senses, Arjuna was complaining like that, Krishna said, yes, by constant practice and detachment. Constant practice and detachment. So that's all we can do. Try our very best with enthusiasm. So that's why during Guru Puja, we have a nice dynamic kirtan. You should join that, like a little mini Rath Yatra we have every day. Like joining Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan party. I don't know, for some reason, just about a month ago, I had a realization that don't waste this opportunity. We do a nice Guru Puja, and then 3 times around with a dynamic kirtan, then inside of Prabhupada's Samadhi 3 times. How much more powerful can that be? Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishna Sangha Pangastra Parshidam Jagnai Sankirtan Prayarya Janti Hi Samedasaha. So one who is intelligent, he'll worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who comes with all his associates. These are his weapons. The holy name, the chanting, the dancing. This will destroy the demonic qualities which have captured us. Lust, anger, greed, what to speak of envy, jealousy. People may think, oh, I'm not envious. But that desire, envy, hatred, all these not attractive qualities are there for the conditioned souls. But one who's liberated, who's freed off the bodily platform, it's not that easy. It's not like turning a switch. You really have to work at it because of our long conditioning. It may take a little effort, but Krishna will help. He's looking at the sincerity. It's not just a ritual, I'm reading every day, I'm studying, I'm doing all my pujas and my mantras and everything. Why it's not happening? It's a personal movement, patrang pushpang palang toyang yome bhaktya prayashati. We have to muster up the devotion, and we have to be genuinely crying out to Krishna that please you help me, and Krishna helps us. Krishna gives us intelligence internally and externally as well. So there's many more good things coming in this chapter. So don't be one of these dejected, always addicted, sleeping persons in ignorance, but be one of those very enlivened bhaktas who are eager for Krishna, but very balanced. Krishna, I think that's one of the things sometimes we miss. Don't eat too much, don't eat too little. Don't sleep too much, sleep sufficient. And be enthusiastic by following the rules and regulations. Then you'll see that your natural bodily energy will increase. If you need more rest, you take more rest. But the point is be sensible, be balanced. Preaching is the essence. Books are the basis. Utility is the principle, and purity is the force. So with the books and the preaching, the purity comes, but the utility is the principle. It may be underestimated. We should not minimize that use of common sense and intelligence, because we have to use our common sense and intelligence how to get the most out of this lifetime and how we can do the most for Srila Prabhupada and Krishna Consciousness. Good time to, about 5 minutes or so, if anybody has any questions. Srila Prabhupada ki. Any questions, comments? We have all the scholars here. They look like all pundits. Oh yes, thank you, sir.
Hare Krishna. Now as we are in this material world, we are in the prison house.
Yes.
So prison house, the prisoners doesn't have any independence. They are bound in the prison. So we also bound in the prison. So how we can come out from the prison house?
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about. Coming out of the prison house means just like becoming a law-abiding citizen. And becoming a law-abiding citizen, you're guided. The state makes the government laws. The Lord makes the laws for all humanity. So human beings have to follow God's laws. And once we get in tune that Krishna, God, in Bhagavad-Gita saying, Man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mang namaskuru. Think of me, become my devotee, worship me. Offer your prayers to me, thus you'll come to me. And give up all so-called religions and mental philosophies, speculations. So we have to surrender to Krishna. Then we have true independence. But we're not independent. Prakrite kriyamana nigune karmani sarvasya hankara mudatma kartahamiti manyate. That living on it, he thinks he's free, but actually he's being controlled by the modes of nature. And we may not see how that's working, but the mode of passion, we can feel it sometimes. Mode of ignorance, we definitely can feel. Sometimes the mode of goodness, one time is more prominent than another time. It's not that we're always in ignorance or always in passion. There's a mixture. And it goes like a roller coaster, depending on our particular situation and our karma. So the only solution to get the real freedom is surrender to Krishna. And the best surrendering process, chanting a holy name. One more.
Just like Arjuna, Lord Krishna asked him to fight. He said, this is my relatives, I don't want to fight. So Arjuna, Krishna pushed him that you should fight. Then he understood that his relatives and this one are just like that and he killed them. So in our material life also we see we have our relatives, husband, wife, children and this one. We are so much attached to that one. Even though we have left them, their family, our family, but still some pinch of attachment is there. So how do you come over that?
Yeah, it's not artificial because it took Krishna 18 chapters. It wasn't like, he said, come on Arjuna, snap out of it. I mean, in the second chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna went to great length to explain that the soul is indestructible, undying, primeval, is not slain when the body is slain, can't be burned, can't be cut, can't be moistened, and it ever existed in the past, existing now, exists in the future, giving examples. And not only that, then telling Arjuna that by karma this result, by meditation is that result. What is this confidential knowledge? What are the modes of nature? What is the process of surrender? So to us it may appear as though it's a simple thing. Just like when I'm reading all this, I'm thinking, oh, I just talked to my older son, he's a policeman, and I have my 2 grandsons, and I have a beautiful place in Florida, and it'd be nice to be with the family. Yeah, all that's nice, and the sentiment may be there. But ultimately we realize that our primary duty is to surrender to Krishna, but we have to, utility is the principle. You have to do it in such a way as you don't disturb the minds of others. We have to, a devotee becomes expert. When the family sees you're happy, genuinely happy, generally they're happy. They don't need your physical body around just to make them happy. But if you have to stay in a little, in a little communication contact, we haven't gone up to the Himalayas in a cave with Vyasadeva yet, then do that. That, like I said, be practical. Don't be overly fanatical and cut artificially and create a disturbance in your own family life, because that'll give you more hardship. But then don't be overly sentimentally attached. If they're not inclined towards Krishna consciousness, then respect from a distance. If they are inclined towards Krishna consciousness, try to engage them in Krishna's service. If they're inimical towards Krishna, then you avoid their association. So you have your barometer or your testing that if they're Krishna conscious, all's good and well. But if they're not, then stay in your Krishna conscious family. Yes, ma? Yeah, put the switch up. Yeah, yeah.
It's not wrong for a devotee for any level, I think, to be emotional.
The emotions are there, for sure, but we have to see our surroundings and our association, because naturally the affection for family, children, nation, it's there, without doubt. But our prime focus and objective is Krishna consciousness. How do I become Krishna conscious? So we have to understand that although we have a family, it's a temporary relationship. You know, 100 years ago, this was not your family, and the next 100 years is not going to be your family. So temporarily, while you're embodied with this lump of skin and bones, this is your family. So you have to act accordingly. Even Krishna, he performed certain duties so that he would not set an improper example. And he was attached to Satyabhama. And, you know, he showed emotions of family and attachment, love, and all these things. But if we're sick, if we're jaundiced, then it's very bitter. It ends up being very bitter. So if we take our medicine, then our vision will clear, our intelligence will clear, how to deal with it in an appropriate way. It may sound like high philosophical words, but I feel that the process works. That be balanced, be enthusiastic for Krishna, because you found the best jewel, you found the best thing there is in all of existence, which is love for Krishna, the holy name of the Lord, association of devotees in the holy Dham of Vrindavan. So you've got the best thing. And if you can share it with your family, your members, great. If not, they'll also benefit because you're performing the tapasya. Thank you, ma.
So, Hare Krishna. You mentioned that if our families are Krishna conscious, it's all good. It's good. If our families are Krishna conscious, it's all good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Mother Kunti's families were Krishna conscious, and she still says, cut my tie to my family.
There's always one person asking a hard philosophical question. So you're saying Mother Kunti's family was Krishna conscious? Yeah, to a certain extent, they're all Krishna conscious, but she was to the point where she wanted to have exclusivity. She was tired of the whole scene. You know, it was like, it's good to have these my family and my relatives and this, and they're all like devotees and Krishna conscious. But someone who's really, really determined to achieve a certain goal. Vyavasayatmaka buddhi rekeha guru nandana bahushaka hyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayanam. It says those who are, resolute in their determination, their focus is one, fixed. I want to surrender to Krishna. I want to awaken my love for Krishna. I want to stop the cycle of birth and death. But those who are, even though family members, that may be sentimentally nice, but you want to associate with the topmost paramahamsas. So as we're refining and we're maturing in our own Krishna consciousness, we have to make Krishna conscious decisions to increase and accelerate our devotional service of hearing, chanting, remembering, humility, and the whole process. And the more we can increase that, the better for us. So that's my understanding, is Mother Kunti, although her family may have been, and probably were, Krishna conscious, she was tired of the whole thing, and she just wanted complete, utter surrender to Krishna. She didn't want to get distracted with any grandchildren and this and that. I mean, we don't want to be cruel. We don't want to be cruel, and we don't want to be insensitive. And how you can say that? Yeah, we love everybody. We have to love our grandchildren. We have to love our in-laws and family, because they're part of Krishna. We love them more than anything. It doesn't mean that we have to have physical proximity, because we're utilizing our time and our bodies in the service of Krishna in the topmost place, Vrindavan Dham. I know it's a little bit fanatical, Krishna consciousness, but if you look at anything in this world, any sport, the Olympics are going on now, you can be sure that those gold medalists, their whole focus and all their time, all their energy, and all their enthusiasm was behind their mission to achieve that objective, right? They wanted to be a gold medalist, whether it's swimming, thising, or thating, But we want to become gold medalists, and not that we want to, I'm just saying like that we also should endeavor with the same amount of energy, with the same amount of focus, to achieve Krishna bhakti, because it's not an easy thing to achieve. Although people think, bhakti is a simple process because you're just chanting and dancing. It is simple, but the mind is very restless. Okay, we're over time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.